Hey guys, Razor Blade Apple Films here. Today I'm going to be doing my review on the Kershaw Chill. So here is the very affordable Kershaw Chill. And I think this knife just kind of beat the SE Zancudo in the sense of how much I love what you get for the price. This was a $30 knife. In my opinion, this is kind of just a perfect EDC knife. It's kind of everything you need. But this is $30, which is a good price. But this is like $16. I've seen them as high as $20, and I got mine in Cabela's while I was in Georgia, and it was $25. I overpaid, but I didn't have to wait for it to be shipped to me. So yeah, I just bought it in stores because I had been looking for it, and that was like the only place that had it. So I really like the design of it. It's a flipper, which actually I don't really like flippers that much. I'd rather have a thumb stud. And that is like the only con I can think of with this knife. If it had a thumb stud rather than a flipper, I think it would be a perfect knife. But let's get the specs out of the way. I have them written down, just a piece of notebook paper right here. You know what? Do you want to look at that? This is how horrible my handwriting is. Overall blade length is 7.125 inches. Blade is 3.125. Blade thickness 0.34. HCR 13 MOV blade, hollow ground. Bead blasted blade. Handle is 3.875 inches, or 2.5. I don't even know. Can't even read my own handwriting. G-10 handles and a liner lock. How's the lockup? It's really good on mine. I actually prefer kind of a late lockup. I think that's what it's called, when the liner is more closer to this side. Some people like an early lockup because it's easier to disengage the lock, but I have no problem disengaging this one. And I'd rather have a lock that's stronger and less likely to, fail on me than have a knife that's easier to close. So that's my opinion on the liner lock. So yeah, mine's actually really good. I looked through about 5 of them, and they all had kind of early lockups, but this one was a little bit better. So that's one thing you might want to look out for when you're ordering this knife, is it might come with an early lockup. The quality control is probably not the best on this. So as far as the design, it's got a backspacer on it. I don't know if the liners are skeletonized or not. Probably not. If you can see in there. Yeah, I don't think they are, but this knife's very light. Couldn't actually find how heavy it was, but I can't imagine it being much heavier than my Spyderco Delica, and I don't know, they feel about the same, and my Delica is one of the lightest knife I have, 2.5 ounces, so it's around that area. G-10 handles, you're getting G-10 for $16, and that's really nice. It's not the grippiest G-10, but it doesn't really matter. I don't really need grippiness in my knives. But if you are someone that does, then that's something to watch out for, I guess. There you can see it's pretty close up. HCR 13 MOV steel. Flipper's pretty smooth. Every time I say a knife is smooth, it fails the first time. But that's because I'm doing it with my left hand. I can't really, do it as well with my left hand, but pretty much every time it flies out of the handle with my right hand. Because it's a flipper, the only thing, it's not that, this knife in particular, but the only thing I don't really like about flippers is you can't open them slowly, like if you were opening them around people or something like that. You pretty much have no choice but to just flick it out like some maniac. It is made in China, so that's another thing, a lot of people might not like. But it's $16. Does it really matter where it's made? I mean, I really like the design. I think it looks very sleek. I mean, aesthetically, I think it's just probably one of the coolest knives I have. I don't know, I really like slim knives, so this one's like right up my alley. Ergonomics is okay. It's not as good as the SE Zancudo. It's just okay. It's not bad. But, you got a little finger choil right there. You got a finger guard right here, so if you were using this for self-defense, your fingers wouldn't slide up on the blade, so I always like that. Like I said, it's got a bead blasted blade, so that pretty much means it's non-reflective. I actually really like it. I think it looks classy. Very pointy tip. I've cut myself with this knife. I cut my thumb right here. I don't know if you can see. It's healed up now, but there is a little slice on my thumb. I'll roll in some video footage right now. I filmed it as soon as I cut it, or about a day after, so I could show you what this knife did. And what happened is there was something stuck on the edge of the blade right here, and I was kind of just wiping it off, and like my thumb slipped and I pulled back and it kind of just sliced. And yeah, so the knife is very sharp. I think that alone, along with the test I'm about to show, is proof that it can be good at self-defense. You know, that's one way to actually open the knife slowly. Just kind of barely push on it and then roll it out. And I didn't really think about that. But other than that, you don't really pull straight down or it's not going to fly all the way out. You kind of have to build up a little pressure and then force it like diagonally, like that way, and it'll open every time. Or you could just get a very light touch and then flick your wrist and it'll come out every time too. And I was watching a video of Cutlery Lover, and he said pretty much any flipper that can open with you holding it straight up is a pretty smooth flipper. And it's going to be kind of hard to do this because I got to reach around my camera, but it can do that. So I think it's a very smooth flipper. You're not going to have any problems with that. It's not assisted opening. That's one of the things that I liked about this. I hate assisted opening knives. I like manual, and this is one of the few knives Kershaw does. I really want to get the Kershaw Skyline. It's pretty much just an improved version of this. Bead blasted, G-10 handles, made in USA. The blade design is a little bit different though. It's not as slim. It's got more of a spear point blade. It pretty much looks like this knife mixed with an SE Zancudo. So that's actually probably a knife I'm going to look into getting. It sounds like everything I like. But you know, it's designed by R.J. Martin, and if you look at some of his other knives, you can kind of tell because it's got this little ramp right here. That has really no other purpose except just kind of a thumb ramp, but it's not jimped or anything. So I kind of like that there's no jimping. The whole knife looks very sleek. You know, I like this little curve right here. I don't. It doesn't really have a purpose. It just looks kind of cool. And you know, there's no jimping around here. The whole knife just looks very smooth, elegant. So really, the only things you're gonna have to, you know, the only thing that I don't like is, like I said, you know, some people, I don't mind that it's made in China, but some people aren't gonna like that. The lockup is good on mine, but I had to look through a few to get the one I liked. And the one thing, so really the only thing I don't like about this particular knife, and that's just how all of them are, is the pocket clip. They could have made this a deep carry pocket clip and I would have liked it a lot better, but instead you have this weird kind of design where it's just, it kind of reminds me of a CRKT Ripple. I don't have one of those, but that's kind of how the pocket clip looks. So you can put it like this, and you can have it on tip up too, if you prefer. But you can't do it on either side, only right hand, like the right side. So here it is in pocket. So this is how it's going to ride in the pocket. It doesn't look too bad because it's bead blasted. It's not going to reflect light as much, but you know, I think it could be better. And it doesn't really slide in and out as smoothly as like the Spyderco Tenacious or Delica. It's kind of hard to get into your pocket. With that being said, this is a $16 knife, very affordable. I think you're getting a lot of bang for your bucks, especially with the G10. R.J. Martin design, that's kind of cool. I just like the design overall. It's very slim and sleek. HCR 13 MOV steel, I actually don't mind it at all. Because you can get it really sharp really easily. The con of that steel is that you're going to have to sharpen it more often than like G-10 or something like that keeps its edge longer, but I don't really mind that at all. On EDC knives, I prefer steels that are easy to sharpen. So here's a quick cutting demo, a piece of paper. Probably shouldn't have done that. Okay, that's obviously just me. So, you know, the tip's still pretty sharp. So yeah, overall a very sharp knife, very easy to maintain. And it can get shaving sharp, but I don't have it shaving sharp at the moment, just because I've been using it just so I could review it. And like I said, I did cut myself on this knife, so be careful. It does come very sharp, and that was pretty much when I had first got it. So here is the Kershaw Chill next to an SE Zancudo. Here it is next to an even cheaper knife, which is a Coast LX311, also a liner lock. And here it is next to a Spyderco Tenacious. And that has G-10 handles, and that's a $47 knife, made in China too. So that just proves that this knife is very good for the price. But yeah, overall, if you like flipper knives, if you like cheaper knives, or if you like G-10 handles, you know, I think this is a good knife to get. It's not perfect, but it's definitely a really good knife for what you're paying, which is pretty much nothing. So recommended to everyone, even knife owners. If you have like more expensive knives, then maybe you could use this as just a beater, and you still have the R.J. Martin design and the G-10 handles. So overall, I think this knife is definitely a knife you should think about getting. So here's the stab test with the Kershaw Chill. Not something I'd really say is a good tactical knife, just because it's a little bit small. You're not going to be able to get a good grip on the handle, but you know, I still think it should do fine. So the blade went all the way in. Let's try like some of this dry foam right here. It's kind of hard to get a grip on just because of how small it is, but you know, it should do pretty fine if you were to use this knife in a last-ditch self-defense or just any other type of life-threatening emergency type of situation. But I would be concerned a little bit about the flipper because it doesn't flip out all the way every time. You know, that might happen if you didn't give it a good flick. You know, this would probably be the hand I'd be using though, so I can usually always get a good flip with this hand. Here's a stabbing test with the Kershaw Chill. Tip still in great condition, didn't bend the steel or anything like that, which some people on their test, they like, oh, it did actually bend the steel a little bit. Let's see if I can bend that back. Yeah, that just goes to show that this isn't a very hard use knife, and it definitely shouldn't be used for prying. I didn't even like twist the knife when I was taking it out. I pulled it straight out. So yeah, the tip is bent. But here's a spine whack test to test the liner lock. Yeah, the liner lock has no problems. The liner lock's strong. So I got the tip back straight. You can see right there. My camera will focus. Got it back into a straight line. The bevel's a little bit off. It's ground a little bit more on one side, I just noticed. I'm pretty sure it wasn't the bending that caused that. So, I'm gonna have to sharpen it more on this side. But all I did to get the tip back into place was I stuck into a crack on this piece of wood and just bent it to the area that I liked, or that I was satisfied with, and yeah, now it's straight again. So that just goes to show that this isn't a hard use knife. It's not meant for prying, you know, if you're going to be doing any of that. It is just like a light use EDC knife. But I'm glad that it bent. That just goes to show that the steel is very soft. A hard steel would have just snapped in half because it's more brittle. But this is a little bit of softer steel, so it doesn't hold its edges long, and because of that, it bent rather than just snapped off. So Here's the sintering in the knife. That's something I don't talk about in my knife videos because I don't really I'm not really bothered by the sintering, but all my knives, the sintering is pretty much perfect actually, so that's not really something I talk about a lot. So yeah, Kershaw Chill. Soft steel, but I still think it's a good knife as long as you're going to just use it for daily tasks. So the Kershaw Chill, I still like the knife, but just because of the tip bending earlier, which was still my fault, I mean, that's not really a knife. I mean, that's not really something you do with this knife normally. But I did still want to see the durability of the knife. I do like knowing how strong my knives are or aren't. And because of that, I still like the SE Zancudo better. I still think that's a better knife, even though it's a little bit more money. It's a $30 knife, and you can still get a little bit more harder use out of it. But the Kershaw Chill is still really nice. You're still getting G-10, a really nice design, and you know, all for about $16, $20 at the most. But I do feel I paid a little bit more for this price than it's worth. But that being said, I still do like the knife. I don't dislike it because of that. It's just something to watch out for, because I know a lot of people do hard use their knives. So if you're buying this for a beater knife, I wouldn't use it as that, because I don't know if it would hold up. So here is the very affordable Kershaw Chill. Why is my camera not focusing? I definitely can see why it's a $16 knife now.